This is the party chat. I'm. I can't do
I'm
it.
sorry, I didn't mean that. I actually,
What a shit
I legit coughed there. Sorry.
This is the part.
I'm Tom the Bomb. With me, I've got Scott,
I'll just start with me, I'm still laughing.
Oh man.
Dan.
Yes, that's me.
I have Dan. Yes, hello.
Yes. No,
Dan?
no, no. Yeah, I'm Dan. I'm also on YouTube as Retro Runner, where I make a bunch of short films, but I haven't really published too much on it recently. But if you ever want to check out my wacky creative work, go ahead. I'm also the curator of a solo musical project called Linkin Dark.
So Alistair, hi.
Hello. Hi there. My name's Alistair, as Tom's just said. I run a YouTube channel called Ludoscary, which makes much more sense if you see it rather than hear it. Which is basically just me talking about games and doing like vague game analysis.
It's Ludoscary.
It's yeah. It's actually
I thought it was
it's pretty
Ludoscare.
wanky actually. It's a Latin. It's Latin. I did Latin at uni in school.
Cool. Dan,
Solid
you
start, isn't it?
Great.
That's approachable. There's nothing more approachable than saying I've done Latin.
You've done Latin. Anyone else done Latin? Want to own up now?
I mean,
Dan, were you joking about the music thing, or did I just cut you off when you're trying to be serious?
What, Linkin Dark?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Linkin
no,
Dark. Never
Linkin-
mind. Another
Yeah,
guest I have is Scott.
That's what it's called.
Is it Linkin Park? Did you say Linkin Dark?
No, it's called
I'm gonna
Linkin
have to-
Dark. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to cut out any reference to Linkin Park because I'll probably get a copyright strike.
You're the one referencing it. I'm.
You just said it again, mate. Yeah. And Scott is here.
Yeah, that's me. My name's Scott. Also on YouTube as Little Big Animation, so I create animations, both short and films, which I'm making right now. Some abridged episodes where we take some cutscenes, some gameplay from video games and try to put in our own sort of script, and I also do Twitch and play some games and, you know, try to do some creative games in the future once a game called Dreams comes out. It's the successor to Little Big Planet, so yeah, quite a creative person over on my channel.
Excellent.
That's it.
And joining us halfway through will be a guy called Derek. So what I want, we're just gonna like talk smack about anything that's like interested me. You know, it's my show. Like,
No,
and
doesn't matter.
yeah,
There you
nah.
So
But-
he doesn't have an ego, you know. So.
no, not at all. But what I want to bring up is this God of War sort of. Is it a reboot? It's not really. It's a soft reboot. isn't it?
No, it's kind of, yeah.
I don't know. That's.
I mean,
you can contest that.
Contest away.
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah,
follows
but-
the story, but the gameplay is a different style in a sense.
It's like
yeah.
you know when
Mostly
you
the
get like
camera.
spiritual successors. It's
Yeah.
Well,
it's
well,
not
no,
a
no,
reboot
no.
of the original God of War, but it follows
Well-
the same in-game universe.
Well, yeah. It's that's
It's
why I
like God
called
of War
it.
4.
That's why I called it
Yeah.
a soft reboot, because
Yeah.
I feel like it could count as a jumping on point for people.
You're right.
But
yeah.
it still has. For instance, a good example is you don't have to have read The Hobbit to enjoy Lord of the Rings.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need to know everything about Middle Earth to enjoy The Hobbit, you know. So
I didn't even enjoy The Hobbit. I'm just saying.
Put that out there. That's on record, Scott.
yeah.
Lord
You
of the
didn't
Rings,
like
great,
the
but
Robert.
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit. So like
The Robert is a very different book, Tom. So
you guys, I'm presuming
It's my dad.
what have you played in the God of War franchise? So are you, Scott?
Well, I played every single game.
Every single game.
When it came out on the PS2, I never played them. It was only when the original PS3 came out and it was backwards compatible. So I bought quite a lot of old PS2 games, really cheap. And so I got the first couple of God of War games before the third game came out on the PS3. So I finished those three, and then I finished the two on the PSP, Chains of Olympus and I think it's Ghost of Sparta.
Yeah.
And then when they brought out the HD versions of all four of those games, I got them all over again just for the hell of it. And Ascension is the only game I didn't finish because I didn't enjoy it that much. But other than that, yeah, I got 4, and I've recently finished it. So spoilers.
You would say you're a God of War aficionado of the franchise?
Yeah, pretty much. I like that type of genre, like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, that type of action game. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but God of War certainly has a good balance between gameplay and story, and it's quite an epic franchise, quite cinematic.
How about you, Alistair?
What's my what?
What's your vote?
Right.
So
because there's a boat in the game, yeah. So.
Aye, there is. You played many of them, Alistair?
Good. I played I played the 3 main series ones. I got 3 when it came out, and then I played God of War 1 and 2, like with the as Scott was saying, the HD reboots.
All right.
I've never played any spin-offs, but I've played God of War 3 about 4 times.
All right.
I love that game.
Wait, does that mean you completed it 4 times, or you just played it 4 times?
I completed it 4 times.
It's Alistair we're talking about. He's definitely completed it 4 times.
Was it the entire time?
But yeah, they're good games. I like them. I like the mythology basis. They're actually quite informative, surprisingly.
How about you, Dan?
But no, they're good. I like them.
What's your take on it?
I'm not really. I haven't really played all of them all the way through. It was more like one of these things where I had friends that had it, and I was too young at the time to really get it. And when they were coming out, I had an Xbox and a PlayStation 2. But I was always really interested in it, and I always like watched videos about it, and so I kept up with the story and the mythology. I watched like playthroughs. I watched like videos that completionists used to talk about it a lot. So I kind of feel like I know quite a lot about God of War, and it's not till like recently, but the new one came out, I remembered, oh crap, yeah, God of War, that was a series I was meant to play when I was like, when I got old enough when I could actually go out and get it. I'm currently playing through like the new one, because I think the trailers really sold me on it. And once I've like done playing it, I'm probably going to give the other ones a go as well, just so I can say, oh, I've played all of them, you know, even though I know what happens in all of them. So
cool. So like you've all surprised me.
I know the closest I came to playing God of War was actually I played Dante's Inferno. which is basically God of War but in hell. So
it was the EA one, wasn't it?
Yeah. And, it was the same guys that made Dead Space, so.
Oh yeah. What was it? Visceral? Is that right?
Visceral, yeah. Before EA killed them.
R.I.P.
So I'm surprised. I thought like there'd be at least one of you who wasn't like that familiar with the franchise, but you all seem to have like come across it at one point.
I thought you weren't that into it.
Nah, see, I'm actually definitely the least familiar with it. I know what it is. I've been aware of it, but I'm not really into like the traditional Devil May Cry hack and slash games. Just remembering all the combos was always a bother for me. But yeah, I got this one. It was actually Dan who got me it for my birthday. He recommended it. I was like, alright, I have to say, like, I like all the Greek mythology, that's interesting, but I really like the Norse mythology, so this is like more right up my street sort of thing.
Yeah, it's one reason I use this as my jumping on point, because Norse mythology fascinates me more than Greek mythology. So.
Yeah, it's really cool. So have you all got the new game then?
Yeah.
Yeah, finished, 100%.
So Scott's finished
I will get it, but the actual definition of skint. So, no, I really want it, obviously, but I'm just waiting. I've also got exams in like 2 weeks.
Ah, fair enough.
Actually, I've got exams in 6 days, so I'm holding off, maybe as a gift for after. Treat myself.
Is it on your...
No, buy it now and procrastinate, so...
don't encourage it.
I'm already procrastinating with something else. I've started another game, which I'll go into later, which is procrastinating enough for me.
Interesting. I think I know where you're going to go with it.
It's Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Could actually be Donkey Kong. So...
That way you're skin, you bought an arcade cabinet, so...
I just keep buying copies of Donkey Kong. I just can't stop. Every game I've got at least 20 copies.
Dan,
I think I have that problem with Doom actually. So.
How long have you been playing it for?
I've been playing it for like over a week now, just when I can. The last like 3 days though, I've been like really unwell, so all I've been able to do is play it. I've
no.
gone really far through it in the last 3 days. So I haven't finished it yet, but I'm like really enjoying it. It's one of those games that it's just now that I've reached a certain point, it's like I have to like complete this. There hasn't been like any point where I've been like, oh, I'm bored now, you know.
Yeah. It's kept you engaged.
Yeah, and I think it's more. I think it's to do with like how the gameplay like feeds into the storytelling as well. There's just something about how the way the game like kind of how Max Payne 3 did.
Yeah.
There's just something about like the way the narrative. Yeah, when how the narrative kind of flows into the gameplay, it just keeps you engaged every step of the way. You know.
Yeah.
There's never like a bit where it has to like cut away to something else. You always stick with Kratos. It's always kind of like one continuous shot.
Yeah, I'll
like
come back to the
5.
Yeah.
I want to come back to that
even
later.
Even Metal Gear Solid 5 still had like cuts and loading screens and all that. You know, there was still that element.
The full transition.
Yeah, just like it's just constantly flowing. You're just it's like it'd be like if you wrote a book without any chapter breaks, and you just had to keep reading because there was no stopping point. You know.
Yeah. I'll come back to that thing about the one camera because I think that's a big deal about this game. How long did it take you to finish it, Scott?
Well, I don't think it gives you a timer in the game.
No, I don't think so actually.
I guess like once I beat the game and did everything else, I guess it's estimated that it takes about 30 hours.
30 hours.
So I did that over a couple of weeks. I binged it quite a lot on the weekends.
Yeah, I mean,
I had most of my time.
I've just started it and I'm surprised like how little I feel I've done, but I've been playing it for ages. You know, for a single player game nowadays, where I remember Dead Space, you could complete that. I know this is an old example now. You could complete it in 10 hours, and that was like good at the time. But I'm seeing estimates for this. It's now like a 25-hour experience for a single player game, which is quite rare. These days for single player games. So yeah, I kind of want to talk about how single player games are being treated like today. So would you guys say, what are you? Are you like a single player gamer primarily or multiplayer gamer, Alistair?
I'm almost exclusively single player. But you already know that. No,
Yeah.
the less social a game is, generally the better for me. I love a bit of Rocket League, but generally, and FIFA actually, but generally I play just stuff on my own. It's kind of how I played as a kid. The games I was into when I was young, none of my other friends were really interested, and they were just single player games. They were just what I happened to have. So it's kind of forged my interest in that sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, almost exclusively single player.
Yeah. Scott?
I like to think I like to play all types of games, but I would say that obviously single player is probably the number one. You know, enjoy a game that you can invest a lot of time in and it's got a good story, or just that it keeps you playing and you don't have to rely on other people or even just like an internet connection. But I think that, like, growing up with games like, well, if you have all the Sega Mega Drive games, but then if you move on to like the PlayStation 1 games with Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil and Silent Hill, like I couldn't imagine a childhood where I was playing games that was just online. It just doesn't have the same impact for me.
Yeah.
But I do like playing multiplayer games. It depends. Like as Alistair said, FIFA, Rocket League. I've kind of fallen away from shooter games in recent times, but I'd say co-op games are quite close to single player games for me. I love to play like and help each other out. So whether it's like the Lego games or like I'm playing now, Rayman Legends. So games that you can play together, you know.
Yeah, and they can also be played. It's kind of couch co-op, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and like the Sega Mega Drive collection that comes out at the end of May, and one of the main reasons I want to get that for the PS4 is because they've added online co-op to all of the games that have co-op, which I thought was, for me, that's mind-blowing because I've always wanted to play Streets of Rage, Golden Axe with someone online.
Golden
Axe. Because I bought the original one on the PSP, and obviously not a lot of people had the PSP, so I could only really play with my brother sometimes. And then on the PS3, it didn't have online, so it was just if you had someone over, which these days doesn't happen too often. So I like that sense where you can use the internet to connect, but more of a co-op environment.
Yeah, that's cool, because I actually have the Sega Mega Drive collection on the PS3, and the thing I always really wanted was co-op and Echo the Dolphin, so...
Yeah.
So Dan, would you say you're a single player gamer, mostly?
Oh yeah, totally. I have not really got into that many multiplayer games except for maybe like Call of Duty occasionally.
Yeah, and that's only because I've sort of egged you into it.
Yeah.
Sort
But
of.
yeah, if you look at like most of my like games and all that, it's mostly like single player. Like Alistair, you've seen my game collection, right?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly like
jealous.
single player stuff. So, like I'm just looking at some stuff right now, and like I have like the occasional like fighting game or something. But I mainly own like a bunch of like old games, and it's mainly just because I think the only reason is because like I grew up playing the PlayStation, and the majority of games were single player games because online wasn't really a thing back then. So that's just kind of what I've always been used to. And then kind of growing up, I didn't really care for multiplayer, and now that's kind of continuing and all that. So I mainly just aim for single player games, and it kind of annoys me that companies keep telling me you don't want to play single player games anymore. And I'm like, but I do though.
Yeah,
you know?
unless you buy our loot box.
Yeah. Like for instance, like a game I really liked that was like it was better for people was on the original PS2, the Star Wars Battlefront games, and then EA got their hands on it, and now I can't play them.
Yeah, we don't need to. We do not need to.
Yeah,
say
but I'm talking about the old. I'm talking about
the
the old ones though, the good ones.
I know.
You know? So,
I'm just saying.
even
There's
though,
no need for us to say anything about the
even
new
though,
one.
even though those were more, though they were more fun with friends. Those old ones, you still play them by yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Same with I remember we had a demo disc for Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
And it was just a demo disc, but you had access to like different maps and stuff, and you could just play that game with nothing but bots on it, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
And now companies don't program bots anymore, and so you kind of have to do it, and it's stupid. It's why my favorite like shooter of the current generation is Doom, because they focus so much on the single player. That's why I own like 100 copies of Doom. So you know.
Well, I think that's what it seems to be right now. Like, there seems to be this sort of tug of war between like companies and consumers of whether single player exclusive games are still relevant in the market today. You mentioned Doom, that was 2016. Like, that sold very well. That's been ported rotten. It does have multiplayer in it, but that's not why arguably people bought
it's not why I play it, you know. So.
Yeah, and the same with God of War. Like, it doesn't have any sense of multiplayer, does it? Just 100% single player. No loot boxes, nothing like that.
Nothing. Not even DLC. I don't think they're going to make any.
So this is a full experience. The package you buy today is the full game.
Yeah. And all the updates, it's just fixes. It's not really content.
Well, they're adding a photo mode. I think tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Alright, charge a tenner
You
for
can
it.
modify Kratos and Atreus' faces, like their expressions. And that's like a
So
free
it's like
pass.
Horizon?
Yeah, exactly like that.
Not good. I always wanted a full album with nothing but Dad of Boy in it, you know. So
That's
the
quite
game's
interesting.
unofficial name.
So yes, I think was it you, Dan, that said EA or EA for example, they're definitely pushing the idea that single player games aren't relevant anymore. People are moving away from single player games. That's the narrative they're trying to weave.
Yeah,
Do you
but
think that's nonsense, or do you think they're onto something?
I think it's a bit like, this is probably a controversial opinion, but I'll explain myself. I think it's slightly a bit of both. Okay. I don't believe single player games are dead. I just think the franchises they created that were single player are dead.
Yeah.
Because they are really bad at like pushing it's their own fault basically. They don't advertise these games as much as they advertise their ones, and they overinflate the budgets on them because they claim games are really expensive, right? But the thing is, though, there's plenty of games that weren't expensive that actually were better than some of their games, and yet they made, because they didn't spend as much money on it, they got lots of profit. Just like for instance, like let's say like they made a new Dead Space, right? Dead Space 4, and then From Software made Dark Souls 4, and they both came out the exact it was around the exact same time, and they both sold 3 million copies each. For From Software, that could be massive profit. For EA though, because they spent like a ridiculous amount on it, that isn't profit for them, even though they sold millions of copies. And it's like, who's really to blame? They're the consumers who decided, I'm not going to buy 10 million copies of that, or EA because they spent too much money in a game that did not need that much money spent on it. Like, it's Dead Space, for crying out loud, you know? So it's a game where you walk around a spaceship and things jump at you.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point you bring up about EA. I think the last single-player EA game that I probably really loved were
Army of Two.
Army of Two. Jesus Christ. Maybe Mass Effect 3, I think.
Mass Effect Andromeda, alright.
But that's the thing about Andromeda, that is that single-player game they brought out. They poured tons of money in. Look at the state they released it in. It was unfinished. And now they're trying to say, single player games have no market share anymore. But as you pointed out, they're producing crap. Alistair, have you played any EA single player games recently? Or in your...
You know what, I really don't think I have. I think I avoid EA. Like, it's...
Yeah, same.
Like, got, like, I don't know, like a plague or something. I think it's kind of not the kind of games I play anyway, but no, I cannot think of the last time I played an EA single player game or multiplayer game. Apart from FIFA. EA Sports technically, but no, I stay away from it myself.
Yeah, they've got that image, don't they, that you just know EA, it's all about the money for them. How about you, Scott? Any single player EA games you played recently?
Well, I just googled it to see what kind of games they put out, and they actually put A Way Out. They actually published that game, that new co-op game. For me, it wasn't the best game in the world, but it was quite a unique game that I wouldn't really expect from EA. Technically not single player, because you have to play it on co-op. Like, there's no way about it. That wasn't a pun, by the way. But other than that, I play FIFA, you know, every year. There was a game that came out a few years ago called Unravel, which was quite good.
Oh, right. I've actually played that. I forgot that.
Yeah, and that's another one that was quite surprising from EA. So it seems like most of the games that I played recently were indie games. So all their big budget games I haven't bothered. Like, I didn't bother with Need for Speed, Battlefront 2, any other sport game. I didn't even play Titanfall 2. I didn't even bother with Battlefield 1.
I actually got that,
yeah, or The Sims 4. I didn't bother with any of these things, so I guess the last big game was probably something like Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, that was another previous generation of consoles too. It's interesting you brought up...
They refused to make a HD, a remaster of the 3, which is stupid.
Silly, because
I've never played them. I'd quite like to play them.
I'd recommend them. They are good. It was BioWare in their golden days, you know. I think Mass Effect 2 is the best one out of them.
No, the Knights of the Republic was BioWare's golden days, so... Mass Effect is more like silver days.
Silver days.
I know.
Sure,
I mean, they've skipped over bronze and are now in the grave days, you know, so...
No face
Just saying.
for Anthem.
Scott, you mentioned A Way Out. I've actually bought that, and that was made as a sort of experiment by EA. They gave money to, I think it was an indie studio, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's famous for telling the Oscars to fuck off. Yeah. Yeah, that's him. And it was like, he's like speaking for EA, that was what it looked like. But
Yeah.
he pretty much he's like came out and said EA actually were pretty good with him and his development studio. They funded him, they supported the game. You know, it was his decision to allow the game to be sold as like just one copy for 2 players, even if you're playing it online.
His
And
version,
EA
yeah.
supported that. But if you look
Well,
at yeah.
remember they didn't. You need to remember though, they didn't exactly give him the budget they would have given to like Battlefield or something like that.
That's
though.
what I was about to say. Yeah, they it was a little risk for them, you know, compared to Battlefield or Star Wars, because they didn't give him a lot of money. But the game he's come out with, or his studio's come out with, and it's done well as far as I'm aware. It's kind of defied some expectations, but it just shows you like they don't need mass budgets to make good games. They just need to support the creators rather than, as you said, overblow the budget.
Yeah, I think it's also probably pissed off EA. We're not really hearing it though because, see, the deal they made, like the partners program, I don't think EA see any of the money from the profits. So the developers are the only ones seeing that money, and they clearly made more money than they thought they were going to make. So EA must be really pissed that they made that deal. Like honestly, it's not just a problem in the gaming industry. It's also a problem in film as well, where you're getting these films that are like so overblown and over budgeted, and they don't make their money back, and the studio loses all this money, and it's like, instead of making one massive movie that might fail, why not make 5 smaller projects that are more guaranteed to make their money back? Because, you know, smaller budget films typically will make their money back, even if they're not massive success, you know? A big example is Warner Brothers costing Justice League as like the most expensive film ever made.
Yeah, and it didn't make anything near, did it?
No, apparently it's the highest grossing box office bomb of all time.
Jeez, oh. God of War, it sold how much? 3.1 million copies in just 3 days. Its opening weekend, it outsold Horizon Zero Dawn, which only reached over 3 million copies in 2 weeks. So it's a console exclusive. Their idea is to, you know, get these good games out. So, you know, creating the brand, the idea of like console exclusives sell the console. And, you know, Nintendo's got Mario, you know, Sony have Kratos and God of War. How do you feel about console exclusives? Do they draw you to the brand like Sony, Alistair?
I'd say so, yeah. I quite like them. I feel like there's something in us all which kind of likes being exclusive, if that makes any sense. Like, I kind of...
Was it like a spiritual thing? Or like...
Nah, like, it's... My favourite game series is Final Fantasy, and Final Fantasy, well, like, pre-7, it was on...
Final Fantasy count for you?
7 through 12, it was basically all on PlayStation. And I remember when 13 came out on 360, and it was on 3 discs. And I remember I was about 14, 15 at the time, and being a prick because I was 14 or 15. I remember being like outraged that Xbox was allowed Final Fantasy. I think I'm slightly less of a prick now, not too like, and like it doesn't bother me anymore. But I still like that. I prefer like Sony and Nintendo to Microsoft, and the fact that Sony's getting good exclusives and Xbox isn't.
Yes.
I don't know, like, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a part of me that was like...
Get it up you.
Aye, exactly. So...
I mean...
Yeah, I quite like it.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves, that came out recently for Xbox, and it's been panned as far as I can tell.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's just because of the lack of content. It's Rare who made it. But apparently it's not a bad game, but it just after a while,
Just falls short.
yeah, you run out of things to do. It's quite repetitive. How about you, Dan? Do you have a brand loyalty or loyalty, should I say? Hello, Derek. This is oh, by the way, quick introduction. This is Derek. Hi, Derek.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
He's joined us.
Sorry, I'm running a bit late, I'm running a bit mad there.
No, you're right. We're just about to move on to talking about the Nintendo Switch, but I'm just gonna like ask last few questions in this. Dan, what you like? How do you feel about console exclusives? Dan's probably he's imploded. I'll pass it on to Scott.
He just couldn't handle the question.
Yeah, it's too much for him.
Uh,
It's weird. We've got
yeah,
Derek
first of
and
all,
then Dan out.
I thought it was interesting when you said that when God of War made all those sales, and I calculated it just because I was curious, in dollars, and it made like $186 million. Like, if you say single player
Jeez.
games are dying off, and it's made all that money, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
No, that's good.
As far
That's
as
good to know.
console exclusives go, like, I've always, after the Mega Drive, I've always been part of PlayStation. And you'll know, like, when I did get an Xbox 360, that was to play an exclusive. That was to play Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead
Yeah.
2. So for me, like, it made sense. It was cheap at the time, and so I didn't mind because I knew I was going to play it. But my main console, it's always been on the PlayStation. And it's the same with Nintendo stuff. Like that's the only reason why I would get a Nintendo console, for those exclusives. You know, it doesn't bug me so much because I think all three consoles have something to offer. Maybe not comparing Xbox with PlayStation because they're pretty much the same thing. But yeah, like, when you look at all the exclusives on the PS4, they're all like mostly first party games. So that's Sony that's taken that initiative to actually fund these games. So obviously Xbox, they don't want to invest, when I think that's a big mistake, because back when the 360, the 360 used to be the most sold console, and the PS3 was struggling, and then suddenly the PS3 started getting more and more exclusives, and it just sort of eventually overtook the 360, and it's never looked back since. The PS4's just kept going on.
Yeah, you're right about Sony really focusing on the single player experience. It just shows, God of War just shows exactly what they're all about. No microtransactions. You're saying no future DLC for it. You've got the game. That's it. That's the game. It's as old school as it gets. We've not had that in a AAA title in a very long time.
Yeah.
But have there been any memorable AAA single player console exclusives that really stuck with you in the past? Derek, do you have any favourite AAA console exclusives from any console?
For any console. I was going to say the Resident Evil, but that was on Nintendo 64 as well.
Oh yeah,
Probably The Last of Us for me.
good
I
shout.
just love that game. It's one of my favourites. The storytelling in it's really good as well, and it's the kind of first game that I've played that I've actually properly, like, I'm not really one for playing games and going with the storyline. I get really bored, so I usually just skip it and play a game. But that game, like, I really wanted to see what was going to happen next, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to part 2 of it, which is not been announced. There's not been a date announced yet, but yeah, I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to part 2.
I actually forgot that was such a big deal when that was a big deal when that came out. It was a huge AAA game, and I think that sold really well, and they
Yeah,
brought it out for the PS4. So that's 1 point
yeah.
for Sony. Scott, how about you? Any memorable AAA single player console exclusives?
Try to think, because, like, if we're talking about the PS4, I mean, it's pretty much everything, to be honest. You've got Uncharted 4, and then I guess you could count The Last of Us being on PS4 as well, because I know there was a lot of 360 players that came onto PS4, and they wanted to catch up with some games like that. With the Uncharted collection, with The Last of Us and things like that. But to be honest, like, everything that Sony makes that's exclusive, it's always very high quality. Even like the Infamous games, I quite enjoy those. They're not like the best in the world either, but I think that there was always like a high standard.
Yeah, Infamous is what I was gonna say as well.
Well, interesting. So, Infamous for you, Alistair?
I think if you can count some of the Nintendo games as AAA as well, like a lot of the main series Mario entries, like Galaxy and Odyssey and stuff. I love, they're fantastic. But I'm not sure. I'd say I think I've not played enough of the like more modern PS4 ones. Like I've not played Horizon yet. I've actually not played The Last of Us, which is something I'm terrified to admit.
Just leave the podcast.
Cheers for the requisite astonishment.
Heretic.
Just in time.
I'm sorry. I'll do my penance now. I tend to
Did you bring the tomatoes and eggs?
I've got them here for myself. I knew I was going to say it, so I'm just gonna. I'll throw them at myself. I'd say I tend to prefer indie games, on the whole. So I'm not sure.
Alistair, I bet you'll play The Last of Us, right? And you'll say 8.5 out of 10 as well.
And that's
Official score.
And everybody's gonna give you the same reaction, like, how could you? Like,
I'll let you know if I play it.
8.5, really? You know?
I feel like I've been putting off playing it because of how well written it is. Does that make any sense? Like, I'm scared of not liking it.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
Would you say it's fair, or is it fair to say that the best console exclusives tend to come from Nintendo and Sony, especially nowadays? I mean, Halo back in the day, that's probably one of my more memorable AAA ones, but the further along Microsoft have come, like Gears of War was great as well, but around after that, it just starts to tail off for me with them. Whereas Sony and Nintendo, I've not been like keeping up with Nintendo, but I know just by looking at what they've got, Mario, Zelda, they're crazy.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that Sony and Nintendo are the better ones?
Well, Sony got Bloodborne, so, you know.
Yeah.
It's a big game.
And Demon's Souls as well.
I forgot about Bloodborne. I forgot that was
You want to change your answer?
yeah.
I
Bloodborne's
think
up there.
Xbox. Yeah. I think that Xbox and Nintendo, like, they have very predictable exclusives, whereas Sony, they're always coming up with new things. Especially now you're seeing this Spider-Man game as well. Like, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but Nintendo has Donkey Kong now.
That's old.
Yeah, but
Donkey Kong was good in the
it's good.
So for our second topic,